Now here's the big and small of it. We have two lenses today. One is the Sony 24mm F2.8G lens. You see how tiny that is. On the other hand, we've got the 24mm F1.4GM lens. You can see how big that is compared to the little G lens. Now, what I did was just a little bit of a comparison between the two of them, just to see if you guys can spot the difference between a $2,500 lens or a $1,000 lens in image quality. Now, I've done a few images out in the Botanic Gardens here in Christchurch yesterday. Now, I'll put some images up on screen very, very shortly. Now, I just want to see if you guys can tell the difference between the two. And what I've done is to have exactly the same scene. Had the camera on the tripod, had Sony A7R Mark IV, and had both these lenses on it, one at a time obviously. Can't have them both on at the same time. But yeah, one at a time, and I took exactly the same photo at varying apertures. Now, what you will see on the photos is you'll see photo A, f2.8, or photo B, f8, something like that. You'll see that at the bottom of the screen. Now, if you grab a pen and paper, I want to see if you guys can tell the difference between the two different lenses, and I will reveal the answers at the end of the video. There will also be a couple of images shot with this at f1.4 and that at f2.8 on a close-up subject. So you can see the background blur, the bokeh in the two different lenses, and you'll see the differences between the two. But in general landscapes, they're very difficult to tell apart. Now, I'll give you a little bit of an indication of what these are. The 24mm f1.4GM lens here in New Zealand retails for $2,548. That's the normal price I was spotted at Photo and Video in Maryvale, Christchurch. It weighs 445 grams. It has a diameter of just over 75 millimeters, and a length of 92 millimeters. If you take this lens hood off, you'll see how the differences between the two lenses. See, this lens here is almost twice. Of course, we'll get this polarizer off this one and just put the lens cap on it, and then you'll see the differences. So yeah, it's nearly twice the height. If you took the lens cap off that, this would be twice the height or the length of it. Now, this also has no image stabilization in it, and it ranges from f1.4 to f16. The little 24mm f2.8G lens, and that comes in at $995 New Zealand at Photo and Video. That's their standard price. Sometimes these things are on special, which it is at the moment. Now that weighs in at 162 grams, so less than half the weight of that and about half the length. So, and this has a diameter of 68 millimeters and a length of 45 millimeters. So as you can see, it's half the length of that lens. Again, no image stabilization, and it ranges from f2.8 to f22. Now this little lens does have an AF manual focus switch on it. It has a declickable switch to declick the aperture, whereas this one, yes it does. It does have a declicking, or it has a switch for declick, click the aperture, and it has the AF, MF switch on it, as well as the customizable button. Both of them do that. Both of them have that. Now, at the end of the video, I'm going to run through a few other alternatives to either of these, so you can see the range of prices for 24mm lens options for the Sony E-mount. There's quite a bit actually. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through these images, and so get your pen and paper ready and see if you can guess correctly which photo was taken with which lens. The 24mm f1.8 or the 24mm f2.8. So I'll see you at the end of this series of photos, and we'll talk about the next segment. So how did you like that? How do you think you went on choosing which lens was used in which photograph? Like I say, these are just general landscape photos, so it's probably a little harder to tell. You get into some sort of close-up photos, portraits or whatever like that, you probably will know, you will notice the difference between the two lenses. But what I shall do now, so get your pen and paper ready and mark off which ones are correct. I'm going to go through them now, and I'll reveal which photo was taken with which lens. So how many of them did you get right? Did you choose correctly, or did you say 50-50? It's pretty hard to tell with landscape images, especially with like F8. You know, that's F5.6 to F8 is going to be probably the sweet spot in both these lenses. So you're going to get pretty good sharpness out of both of them. We've been pretty happy with the images that have come out of this little F2.8 lens, but it was good to try out an f1.4. So thank you very much for my sister for loaning me this lens. Yeah, it's been interesting testing out a more expensive wider aperture lens. But we'll move on to a couple of close-up images. So as you'll see from the photo up on screen now, this was taken with the f1.4 lens at f1.4. As you can see, the background's pretty well blurred out. Now above the flower in the background you'll see like little vertical lines. That's a aluminium fence, a black aluminium fence with just little rungs going down it. So that's really well blurred out. Now the next one is the one taken on the f2.8 at f2.8. And as you can see those lines in the fence a little bit better than you did in the previous image. They're a little bit more blurred out in that f1.4 lens. So that just goes to show you the differences between f1.4 and f2.8. So yeah, that's it for the images. Now, what I was going to do, like I said near the start of it, it's going to give you some other options. So if you're on a budget and you can't afford either of these lenses, if $1,000 or $2,500 New Zealand is too much for you, there are a lot of different options. Sony have, in their E-mount range of lenses that are available to the system, you've got at least 8 different 24mm lenses in various price ranges. The Tamron 24mm f2.8, now that comes in at 439 New Zealand dollars, and it weighs 215 grams, so it's pretty damn lightweight. It's very, very lightweight. So next on the list is the Samyang 24mm f2.8. Now that comes in at $599 New Zealand, and it weighs 120 grams, and it's shorter than this at 37 millimeters long. This is 45 mils. That Samyang is 37, so that's quite a bit shorter, really. It's almost like a pancake lens. And next up, we have a Samyang 24mm f1.8. Now that, I have had that lens and I sold it. I don't know why, just spur of the moment sort of thing, buying other things. But that's good for astrophotography. It has a special feature on it that when you turn it on and hold a button, that it focuses at infinity straight away like that. But anyway, that comes in at $769 and 230 grams in weight. Next up, there is a Sigma 24mm f3.5, and that's in their, what do they call it, is it I series? The metal build ones with the aperture on them and everything. This camera that's filming me now, the A7C, has got one of them on. It's the 45mm f2.8, and it's great lens. It's really sharp, and it looks great as well. Metal lens hood and everything, brilliant. But that comes in at $950, so not much cheaper than the Sony really, and that Sigma is a little bit larger than this as well. But that comes in at 230 grams, and also, like I say, it's heavier than this as well, because this is pretty lightweight. But that's just some of the alternatives up to about $1,000. But you've also got there's, I've just written down a few notes. There's also some 18mm, 20mm, 21mm, 25mm as well, and around that same sort of focal length. That you've got plenty of options. I mean, even like there's a Sony make a 20mm f1.8, a little bit larger than this, of course, but that would be like if I was to buy a 24mm again, if I was searching for that sort of focal length, I'd be looking at the 20mm f1.8, because even though it's dearer than this, it gives you like, well, especially if you pair it with like so the A7R Mark IV or the A7R Mark V, for instance, with 61 megapixels. With a 20mm, you can zoom in, can crop in to the equivalent of 24mm or more, and still get decent resolution. I mean, like this when you crop into APS-C mode, it still gives you 26 megapixels. So with a 24mm, you could crop into the equivalent of like 36mm and still get 26 megapixels in the image from it. So, but yeah, the 20mm f1.8 is, like I say, a bit dearer than this at $1,619 and 374 grams. But like I said, that would be my choice to give you an ultra-wide lens plus the ability to crop in on a body like this. So that would be my pick if I was to buy a lens in a similar focal range. That's what I would be looking at. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little comparison between these two lenses. Now, before I go, you've got one more week to get your entries in for that free camera that I did a video about last week. Now next week, on the 6th of November, I will do a video with the details of who has won the camera and there'll be a couple of other bits of news in that video as well. So hope you stay tuned, and please subscribe, like the video, comment down below, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.